This is Riju from Sportskeeda. I recently caught up with the star of the 83 Weeks podcast, Eric Bischoff, and you can check out snippets of our chat right here. When Eric Bischoff goes into the WWE Hall of Fame, whom would you like as your inductor?
Well, it's funny. It's almost like clockwork. I start getting those questions every year right around January. I don't think about it. Honestly, I don't. The only time the thought, forms in my mind is when I have to answer a question like this. And unfortunately, first of all, to be honest, I don't think it's going to happen, and for a variety of reasons. And secondly, I don't know. I just haven't given it any thought. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Hulk Hogan. Who knows?
Okay, that would make sense. What would have happened if Vince McMahon had actually shown up when you invited him to come fight you?
I would have kicked his ass.
Fantastic, man.
Oh, you laugh. You laugh, but it's true. And he knew it. That's why he didn't show up.
Why do you think Goldberg gets such a bad rap whenever he comes to WWE, but Sting is praised by one and all when he goes to AEW?
Well, I think it all goes back to, the beginning of Goldberg's career. Bill Goldberg became a megastar almost overnight. And as a result of that, Bill Goldberg was thrust into the limelight in main event matches with top level talent without really having the experience that would enable him to have longer, more dramatic types of matches that you would see out of a Sting or a Chris Jericho or you name it, any of the other top stars. So I think because of Bill Goldberg's limited experience in the very beginning, and the fact that Bill didn't really develop a much broader skill set in terms of his technical abilities in the ring, fans sometimes look at Bill Goldberg as a limited star in terms of his in-ring ability. And I think there's some resentment, in the eyes of the fans for that. Who don't really understand how Bill Goldberg, and they understand the character, how powerful of a character he is. But because of the limitations that he has in terms of what he can do in the ring, I think there's just a little bit of resentment or resistance, if you will, to Bill Goldberg.
How the idea of pairing Scott Steiner and an actual tiger on Nitro came about?
It's difficult to say. Ideas are very spontaneous sometimes, and they're the result of collaboration amongst, any number of people. It would be very difficult for me to identify the person, responsible for coming up with that idea initially. It's very difficult to say, especially, 20 years later at this point. Please, you can find me wherever you get your favorite podcasts, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, and definitely want to invite the listeners to adfreeshows.com. There's a plethora, I love using that word, a plethora of great talent and great content over at adfreeshows.com. Myself, Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, Arn Anderson, just a ton of great talent. We've got some new content that we do every single week. We're producing new content, as well as your ability to listen to the podcast without having to listen to any of the ads. So either adfreeshows.com, or if you want to listen to the podcast, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, wherever you get your favorite podcast.